I still cannot believe that another Mad Season show video has eluded me for 2 days. We gotta watch this one. I already know it's going to be good. Guys, everyone's on Classic Plus right now. It is what
guys,
it is.
What's up? Mad Season here, back with another video for you. Alright, so Classic Plus, it's not confirmed yet, but in my opinion, it's a 99% chance of releasing. We recently went over...
it's a headcanon. Everyone came together and collectively confirmed Classic Plus. That is the greatest thing about it. Now, if Blizzard won't deliver on this and it's going to be WoW Mobile... Oh man, I'm gonna make so many videos about that.
The why and all of the things
like the
Blizzard has been
Diablo
dropping
fiasco.
over the past several months. I'll have a link to that video in the description if you are curious. But what I wanted to focus on today is realistically, what would it look like considering Blizzard's development practices and history, and also going over things such as the Classic Plus-esque survey questions that they've shared in the past, and also the fact that Blizzard has said that the entire season of Discovery was a big experiment.
Yeah, the experiment was to see how much money they can milk out of their audience doing bare minimum effort whatsoever. And let me tell you something, that experiment went fine as wine.
But an experiment for what?
They made it!
Asking? Well, let's get into it. Before we begin, though, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video.
I never skip a Mad Season ad.
Surfshark is a VPN that
this man's a G.
your internet
he deserved the money.
To keep snoopers and trackers from
Nah,
seeing
get
what
your
you're
dough,
doing.
butter.
It's quite easy to use. You just
I love this
pick a
guy
server,
videos so much.
hit
There are like
connect,
so many good
and
content,
you're protected.
WoW
They
content
have
creators
over
out there.
4,500 servers
Truly,
in
they're the
over
best.
100 locations. And just one account
The
works
funniest
on
outcome would
unlimited
be that
devices,
Camelot
so you
is
can
not
cover your
Classic Plus
PC, phone,
and
laptop,
is instead
and
WoW
basically your
Mobile.
whole
Yeah,
household. I mainly use them on
absolutely.
streaming websites. Oftentimes,
Camelot
they'll
is
have
housing
content blocks
expansion.
based on your geographical location.
I wouldn't even
and
be
have a much
surprised at
larger
this
library
point.
than what's visible to you. So you just find out what regions get what content.
What? You can bypass Steam with
appropriate server,
VPN if you purchase Steam with
and
currency from a
maximize your
country.
value.
Oh, really?
So it kind of pays for itself in a way.
Yeah, I
They
hate
also have the
region
clean
locks
web
in video
feature,
games.
which
I
has this
don't. I
built-in
really
ad
don't
blocker
understand
and
it.
tracker filtering.
I don't
Just,
get why.
Remember to
If you have
disable it
stable
for my
connection,
videos,
like you should
but
be
this
able
is
to
quite
play a
nice for
game.
those
I
who
never
want a
really
less
understood it.
intrusive
Maybe it's
experience
something beyond
and
me
also faster
that
load
you can
times
explain.
and lower data usage.
But, like,
and
I don't
another
get it,
useful tool,
personally.
especially since it's the rise of AI here, is that they have an email scam checker that uses
damn.
AI to detect patterns.
Wait, that's actually
and
sound
threats common
good.
to many online scams.
You have so many
that you've
AI
surely
scammers
seen
nowadays.
make it to your inbox. So it's not
Damn,
only
it's
useful,
crazy.
but it also has some important safety features as well. And if you're unsatisfied with it, they also offer a 30-day money-back
Yeah,
guarantee.
side note, I
So
told them
secure your
about
privacy
Diablo
with
Immortal,
Surfshark
but in
and
the
enter
end,
the
money
coupon code
game.
MAD for an
Also,
extra
I was
4
wrong,
months
it was a huge
at
success in Blizzard eyes.
surfshark.com/mad.
Diablo
You can find a
Immortal
link for
was
this
an
in the comment
insane
and description.
success.
So they're two
Yeah,
very big
sorry, just a quick pause. Diablo Immortal made Blizzard so much money on an unparalleled level you guys wouldn't even be able to comprehend. And everyone and their mothers said, let's boycott Blizzard, and I'm sure it worked for plenty of people. At the end of the day, it didn't matter, because the people who are paying for Diablo Immortal and sorry, I was about to say Diablo Retail. No, that's for the future. For retail World of Warcraft, they're the same type of crowd. You can't even reach them. They are far beyond your scope, and that's why we have the current product that we have from Blizzard.
pieces of information that we're going to be going over in this video, starting first with the Season of Discovery. In both the announcement itself and throughout the development, and even in the send-off for the game mode, when they announced that it was no longer being developed, they had made mention several times that this temporary game mode was experimental in nature, or they say things like they learned a lot from it. So combining this with other various teases like the weird 2026 state of review thing.
All classic players across the globe have a lot to look forward to.
Bro, can we please give Holly Longdale the boot? Can we just... Oh, can you just vanish her from the company? Come on, she had her time. She completely decimated everything we knew and loved. She always come out on stage looking like a Power Ranger. I don't really get it. But can we just get her out of the company and put someone competent in charge? Can we actually put someone in charge that refused to hire Labubu millennials or blue-haired Karens that go on a limb and completely tear our game from the inside? Can we just have that? Can we have balding men in charge of building World of Warcraft again? I think that would be a hoot. I think that would actually make the game better on principle alone.
I'm really excited to announce that.
Yikes.
I guess we'll save that for later.
Marvel
As well as this
humor.
line from your yearbook with a bunch of plus symbols. I think it's fairly reasonable to assume that the core of Plus will consist of what they consider to be the greatest successes of Discovery, while hopefully leaving out the not so successful things. And this is where it gets subjective because, you know, what are successes and failures, right? But trying to take the most objective look possible, probably a good place to start is with one of its most major features, which is the Rune system. Although during its release in 2004, the class balance of the game was quite impeccable by the time standards. It is definitely something that, by today's standards, hasn't aged the best in some ways for some people. Personally, if I may interject my opinion here, I like it. I think it has charm, and I think that the roles are much more specialized, which gives the classes values and these special jobs that only they excel at.
So he's right and he's wrong about this. So here are my point of view. Classic balancing was terrible. That's an objective fact and everyone knows that. Now, the question that people are fighting over is how do you change that and how you balance the game? I think it's simple. Give certain fights, no, every fight in the game, a certain property, and make sure that characters have distinct weaknesses and strengths. So what do I mean by that? We can actually look at Molten Core as an example. In Molten Core, you can deal fire damage. Now, that may be a little bit over the top because dealing 0 damage as a fire mage kind of sucks, right? You want to roll a fire mage, suddenly you can. You have to be spec'd into Frost and never Arcane because it doesn't exist. So it is kind of a bummer, but you should make it so Ragnaros, if he can take fire damage, he should be extremely weak to Frost. So now everyone who deals Frost damage can, or water damage, whatever, however you want to call it, right? If you want to add another type, like have a go at it, sure. And now every shaman or frost mage can pop the hell off. Warlocks can deal seriously good damage too, but everyone who deals fire damage can just completely be shot down. And that would be a really cool way to balance the game, because that means that not everyone is topping the DPS meters and some people have different chances to shine. Also, it means that if I'm playing a Warlock, instead of using Conflagrate, how the hell do you pronounce that? Conflagrate, sorry. You can't use it in Molten Core. You can instead use other abilities like Shadow Bolt, which, you know, right now you're doing anyway. It doesn't really matter. And it just gives you a certain perspective of the game. And it gives you a new lens to watch it from. Because now you can spec into something and know that it's not good against a certain fight. But you can enjoy it regardless, because now you're going to you can play completely differently. You get to play in a different way versus certain bosses. And I think that that is extremely fun. Maybe that's just me, but I think that the rock, paper, scissors is always the best way to balance a video game ever. Because you're never going to achieve perfect balance. As long as classes are different inherently, you're not going to achieve balance without homogenizing all of the classes.
I think it's cool that mages are by far the best AoE class, or warriors are the best tanks, and you know, you have other various classes and specs being great at some things and bad at other things. I think that weaknesses are often mischaracterized as flaws, but they're just as valuable as strengths in the identity of classes and specializations. And if you treat weaknesses as flaws to be fixed, eventually everything just kind of melds into one another, and the classes no longer have these interesting identities that separate them from each other.
I haven't pre-watched this. It's just that everyone knows that I'm right. Everyone knows that. It's so easy. Man, it's so difficult to be so right, and Blizzard won't even pay attention. I mean, everyone is saying this. It's so obvious. It is really right in front of them. You cannot achieve balance. It's impossible. You cannot do that. That's why the rock, paper, scissor mentality was always present. Yeah, Paladin is the best class. Everyone knows that. Try to play a Retribution Paladin in vanilla and TBC and say that.
Because eventually everybody's mobile. Everybody's good at AoE, single target tanking, and the balance becomes better, but it also becomes as boring as my voice. But of course the other extreme isn't the best either, where Of course, in vanilla, you have some classes and specs that are severely broken, such as balanced druids going out of mana in like 10 seconds or whatever. So this was one of the major focuses of the Season of Discovery, and they addressed it with the rune system, where players could find all of these different unique runes throughout the world that sort of fill out all of the different specializations. These, from what I recall, were received fairly well. There were some issues.
Yeah.
Some people liked them, not only for their effect on the class balance of the game, but also in the way that you obtained them. Initially, at least, they weren't just patched into the game or you just trained them at a class trainer. They were often hidden in the world, or locked behind quest chains or
but I mean, it's so lazy. They just grabbed abilities from different expansions and call it a day, brother. Like, that's not exciting. I think these should be integrated inside of a system within the game that maybe you go and do some crazy mission and practice and level up your character, and after you do that mission, you gain an ability. I think that's really, really cool. Maybe some abilities can be runes you graft on stuff. That's awesome as well. You can really mix and match, but the way they implemented it is kind of boring, in my opinion at least.
action reputations. They did try to leverage one of Vanilla's biggest strengths, which is that world presence. However, this would eventually backfire on them, as shown with them eventually just releasing an NPC that sold every rune for a copper right from the starting area.
Easy clap.
The reason why they did this is that they felt like they went a little too overboard, and as time went on, at a certain point, there were so many runes that starting a new character kind of became a daunting task for people, so they just made them easily available. But as they said, it was all an experiment, so maybe this is something that they picked up on and will monitor more closely. Another major feature of Discovery, I'd say, is world presence. This is kind of tied into the runes as mentioned, but there was some additional content added to the world in the form of secrets, new quests and areas and whatnot. Not really much else to say about that, though. I think it's kind of an expected standard request on most people's lists. I guess one thing to say is that it would be important, I think, to not get tunnel visioned on new content solely at the max level, but Discovery had new content from beginning to end, and that was largely due to the phase level caps that it was structured around. As I remember, people
So
generally
stupid.
liked the idea of this.
My god.
And most issues that they had with it came down to
Man, they even had to gatekeep vanilla. Like, it's so embarrassing.
specific execution for each phase.
The
This,
hell?
as they stated themselves, was inspired by the progressive testing of the Classic 2019 beta, when the phases were split up in different level caps. It introduced some interesting new metas that weren't really explored as much since, the game is hyper-analyzed, but of course primarily at level 60. So by having progressive level caps, they aim to add an additional layer of a fresh and unique feeling, which I do think that they largely achieved, with a lot of the criticisms of this dynamic being tied more towards the level upgrades associated with them rather than the level caps themselves. As far as I remember, Gnomrigan and more so Sunken Temple in particular were kind of received poorly, with Sunken Temple in particular being kind of a moment where a large percentage of the player base did see a drop off. And getting into the end game here, you may remember that they did dip into old abandoned content from the original run. Specifically, they did the Cares and Crypts being turned into a dungeon. They did the Scarlet Crusade raid, as well as a quest line for the legendary Ashbringer, to name just a few examples. But these are extremely common requests within the community, so there's no real insightful information to glean from this. It's just kind of an automatic thing, but still worth mentioning, I thought. So the Season of Discovery holds some information, and if you did play it, chances are that the skeleton of Classic Plus will be fairly similar to it. Yeah, the fact
I don't really know about that. I heard they were working on Classic for, like 5 years at least, since the project was announced. So I think Season of Discovery was them testing the waters with maybe few new abilities just to kind of check them. But the base core of Classic Plus is going to be completely different, at least in my opinion.
that they
I
kept
might be
saying
wrong
over
about
and
that.
over again, that it's an experiment, we're testing stuff, we learned so much from X, Y, and Z for the future, I think is very indicative in
Yes.
the role that it will play.
Whenever Blizzard tells you that they learned something, they learn nothing. And we've seen this with retail 100 of times before. Blizzard's cycle is like this. They release a broken product, Everyone's mad about said broken product. Blizzard is doing a blue post apologizing over it. People are like, oh, okay, they apologize, so maybe in the future we're gonna have it good. And then Blizzard releases another broken patch. And that's the cycle. It's literally has been like this for the better part of a decade.
For Classic Plus. But beyond this, we also have
We never
the
learn.
survey. In 2025, Blizzard sent out a survey to players asking about a hypothetical version of Classic, and they pitched many different specific features. So we don't have answers to these, only Blizzard has them. However, there has been a community-run survey called the Classic Plus Project, which I'll have linked in the description.
Yeah, surely
with
they
similar
care.
or even the same questions, so we can kind of compare. And something that's really interesting with this survey is that there's another content creator on YouTube named Jordy who makes classic World of Warcraft videos, and he made a video about this survey, and in the comments was Agrand, who's been like the main classic guy. And if you did see my previous video, as you would know, he's working on a classic project that doesn't have anything to do with Miss Pandaria Classic or Classic Anniversary, so that would only leave Classic Plus as the thing he's working on. And he's commenting on a video about the very survey that we're about to go over. So
Okay, he looks bald to me. Does he look bald to you? I mean, not completely, but maybe his powers hasn't fully developed yet. Okay, you know, sure, I won't trust him just yet, but he's in the right direction.
the idea here is that we can use these to make reasonable guesses on the data that Blizzard has gotten, and depending on the results, what features may or may not make it into the game, assuming that they're following the results of the survey. There are about 40 questions in total. Some of them are very common requests for Classic Plus from the community, and others I personally have never seen before. So we'll just go over them one by one here, and then we'll go over the community score to see how people answered them. Starting with the rather popular one here, we have cross-faction shamans and paladins. This was, of course, a feature released in the Burning Crusade expansion with the Draenei and Blood Elf races, where Horde got paladins and the Alliance got shamans, which was a major change to the balance of the game. There's a matching public survey response from this, and the community has responded largely in favor.
Yes.
Out of about 47,000 responses. I guess I'm the minority here because I actually like the separation. I do think it's a fairly major part of the identity of vanilla.
Yeah, but it created a huge problem where everyone top rating were Horde because of shamans, so it was kind of weird, as far as I at least remember it, but maybe it's been the other way around, but for some reason I remember it differently. Maybe, I don't know. You can tell me about that in the comments, but it just, I don't really like it when one faction doesn't have an access to a whole different class, but at the same time, I do really like the idea that you have to explore the other factions so you can have access to said class, and maybe you see some other things you shouldn't have. So I'm kind of really, I shouldn't have, that you wouldn't have. So I am really kind of torn about that issue, but if most players do really want it to be available on both sides, like, I'm down for that. It's kind of like a 50-50 issue for me.
I know it's done for balance, but again, some imbalance can be interesting, and it kind of gives the factions different identities in both PvE and PvP. I've always been a fan of having different strategies and the different areas of the game, depending on what faction you are. While the balance of vanilla can definitely be improved, I think, again, it's also important to not go too overboard. Next we have collections, UI-based storage system for pets, mounts, and toys to free up inventory space.
Yes.
The community responded again
Obviously.
with a resounding yes.
Obviously, who would say no to that? Like, nobody look at this
Tourist
inventory, my god. Like, yeah, we need that. We need to make World of Warcraft a bit more like Guild Wars 2 in that regard, where you have a system that holds every single garbage item you own and just put it into one place in organized sections. That is lovely. I would appreciate that. Everyone should say yes to that. That is, like, ubiquitous. Or at the very least, it should be.
Bases.
That should be, like, the majority opinion. Everyone should be on it.
You probably know plays a pretty big role in vanilla, both as an annoyance, but also as a form of balance to limit, like, how many consumables or gadgets you can bring if you're an engineer. But at least for the more collection-based stuff like mounts, pets, and toys, the community wants a dedicated storage / interface for those. Next we have 1v1 duel arenas. The ability to go into a special dueling arena for 1v1 contests that are viewable by spectators.
Okay, damn, he's gonna go through everything. I already filled out this form, but it's kind of interesting to give my take on this. I love assuming what Classic Plus should be, or, will be. And 1v1 dual arenas. So the thing is, I'm a huge big 1v1 Andy. I think 1v1 me bro mentality is really funny to watch from the sidelines. And it's going to make, like, for some serious, hilarious highlights in the future. Where you can, especially as a streamer, right? You get to duel your community and it's hilarious. But at the same time, I feel like that would be impossible to balance unless you'll start giving classes specific, unique PvP gear that completely changes the way that their class works on something. Or maybe you can give them different build varieties and stuff. I'm really not sure about that. Otherwise, you just have rogues dominating everything and everyone.
Community responded
Or
mostly
Shadow Priests.
receptive, with most saying yes, and the next saying yes and let us bet gold because gambling culture has taken
Yes,
over
but
the
let
world,
me bet.
with the last 23% saying no. I am a fan of this. I've been saying this for years, actually. I think that community events are huge for the game. Some of you might remember the OTK tournament that was hosted a while ago that pulled in like hundreds of thousands of viewers.
Yeah. Also, Showbeck is gonna have a field day with that feature.
I think it gets more eyes on the game. It gets more people playing, and I just think it lends itself well to the whole idea, because everybody always says vanilla is about community, right? So making it easier for these organizers to make these tournaments and have spectator tools and whatnot, so they don't have to go into out-of-bounds areas to avoid interference, will make it so they happen much more frequently, which I think can be really good for the game. So I'm also very much in favor of this. In fact, I say go even further and have this whole dueling island that you can only get to through a GM teleport, and have it filled with, vendors for food and drinks, class trainers to respec, basically everything to support some sort of...
Bro wanna turn the game into Rust. Okay, that's an interesting idea. You can make an extraction shooter inside of an MMORPG.
PvP dueling tournament. I don't know.
Why not?
You could
Or
really
survival
leverage it
game,
in
whatever
huge
you
ways,
choose.
I think, but that would also require Blizzard to hire an actual human employee to work as a GM. And I did actually calculate the chances of this happening. It's really interesting because it just happens to be 0.016% chance, repeating of course, which completely coincidentally is the exact same chance of the people who swore up and down that the WoW token wasn't coming after the level boost released.
Wow, it's that high? Okay, I thought maybe we have hope. Maybe we do have hope.
Actually coming back to my channel and saying that they were wrong because I told them so, by the way. Next we have modern character models.
If you think World of Warcraft is not going to have WoW token day one in Classic Plus, you're delusional. You're delusional and you need help.
Assuming this would be a personal option that would be toggled on and off by the players. I personally don't have an interest in this because I thought the whole idea was to not play Modern World of Warcraft, but this is how the answers turned out on the Classic Plus project, with 1 being strongly disagree and 10 being strongly agree. Next is leveling profession improvements, the ability to make more usable gear for yourself as you level, and to be able to craft it at level appropriate trade skill levels. So here we have a resounding yes. This is actually a pretty common criticism.
Make professions viable. 3.7%. No. What? And 7.6% are fence sitting on this. No way. Okay, you know what? 88% is insanely large. So, obviously, most people have brains. Imagine making professions actually viable during leveling. Insane. Like, how cool would it be if you could have created your own gear like in Ascension World of Warcraft, and it would actually be viable?
With vanilla World of Warcraft is that if you're really on top of your trade skills and you go super out of your way to level them, you can make some useful gear. However, usually for the average player, by the time you get to the trade skill level to make something, you've already gotten something better from a quest or a dungeon or whatever. So assuming that this feedback matches what Blizzard has and Blizzard listens to the feedback, there's a very high chance that this would see a change. New class.
And also it's a bit unrelated, but more quests that requires other professions, or maybe your profession if you actually took it, to like quests that makes other professions viable, like the quest that you needed bronze copper rods for, or quests you need spyglass for. That would be really, really dope. It would make professions more viable. It would give some stable gold income to new players starting a profession. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be awesome. It's always great, and I love to see that.
Abilities and spells, brand new class abilities or spells unique to this version of Classic. This was something that was in the Season of Discovery. Many of the runes, in fact, I would say the majority of them, were abilities from other expansions like Burning Crusade and Wrath and whatnot, but they did have some new ones here and there from what I recall. It's also a very common request,
yeah.
And as you can see, it holds a
obviously
yes from...
If you make Classic Plus with the same old characters, the server is going to die in 1 month. Everyone wants something new, and I'm not even talking about Total WoW level new. I'm talking literally rehaul the characters as they should have been in Warcraft, before World of Warcraft. Like, make classes, literally look at Ascension WoW and copy their stuff. Now, not every single class in Ascension is good. Some of the classes are a huge stretch and just abominations, but some of the classes are really, really good. So just take the good parts and implement them into your Classic Plus version. Just make hunters viable by not spamming the same pet command over and over. Make survival melee. Even Turtle WoW did that, but still, like, improve upon that. And just, generally speaking, just, make the classes feel completely fresh. That is the important thing.
The independent survey had almost 21,000 responses. Next, we do have a question relating to the honor system. Move honor rewards away from the original model and towards a more seasonal mode where new honor rewards are added to coincide with the new PvE raid tier updates. So is essentially the system that they've used from the Burning Crusade and onwards with the seasonal PvP gear. Whenever new raid tier comes out, a new PvP tier comes out, and they kind of shuffle where you can obtain those items. There is a public question relating to the old rank 14 system, but it is a little different, offering 4 options, which is remove the weekly rank system and you just rank up as you get honor. In second place, there's an unspecified overhaul, and third, it's the same weekly system but with no decay, and lastly is just keep it as is. So having done the rank 14 grind,
I'm not a PvP Andy,
run,
I can't really answer that.
It is a pretty bad system overall. It's ludicrously grindy and unhealthy and toxic, and I think it's only gotten worse over time as people have become more sweaty. It definitely rewards time investment and not skill. It encourages pre-mades dodging other pre-mades because it's more honor efficient to just stomp pubs all the time. I guess if you're asking my opinion, I'd probably go with option 2. Class talent adjustments, streamlining and improving class talent trees to make weaker specializations and classes more viable while still maintaining the overall feel and flow of classic combat.
Yes.
The closest survey response is in the form of how severely each spec needs.
Bro, why? Of course they hit my main in TBC. Of course. It's Retribution Paladin at the top. And you know what's funny? Paladins were insane in Wrath of the Lich King. Just one expansion after, Blizzard gave them everything and more. It's just funny. Yeah, Balanced Druid, Protection Paladin, rest in peace. Yeah, they didn't have a taunt. Arcane Mage. Yeah, imagine having mana. Arcane Mage on paper were really, really good. The problem is they didn't have any fuel whatsoever to actually use their abilities. Enhancement Shaman. Yeah, Enhancement Shaman, they couldn't even decide whether they wanted to be a tank or a dual wielder. So that's kind of what screwed them. It ended up being neither, really. It just died. Survival Hunter should have been melee. Everyone knows that. Shadow Priest. Oh, that's my first main in Classic. And yeah, it's... ooh, that's embarrassing. To be fair, they were beasts in PvP and Nyxramis. Nyxramis against Rezavius. Finally, I got to pop off. Feral Druid weren't that bad, so that's interesting. Elemental Shaman, yeah, Demonology Warlock. Demonology Warlock should always be in a tank. And we have the rest, which, understandable.
It's a major revamp, with Retribution Paladin leading the charge here. And generally, as you would imagine, it's the weaker specs on top. So, just something I think that's kind of just baked into class changes as a whole, and kind of a boring entry because, again, it's pretty much 100% chance that they're going to be doing class balance changes. But for the sake of thoroughness, I just wanted to mention it. Next, we have playable High Elves for both the Horde and Alliance. So kind of a Pandaren type dynamic here, where I guess you would probably do a short quest line, and at the end you choose a faction or something. And the closest thing on the survey is this chart for the most popular new race requests, with High Elves landing at the second place behind Blood Elves. Other popular choices are the Goblins from category.
Bro, who is the Giga Chat that voted Ogres? My god. Everyone who voted Ogre is a G. Straight out.
Cataclysm, Draenei from the Burning Crusade. Ogres have been a pretty popular request, but you also have Worgen, Dark Iron Dwarf, and in general a completely new race unique to Classic Plus, and further down at 14% is no new races. Next is revisiting known but unexplored zones, visiting zones that were part of Warcraft history but were never playable in the original World of Warcraft, such as Mount Hyjal, Uldum, Gilneas. So another really common request.
Viable
You'll
later,
see this in
obviously.
pretty much everyone's wish list, and that's reflected in the public poll. For the most part, people want it. Kind of funny here that one of the options is yes, but only done well. As if the alternative is, yeah, but they have to be really shitty and poorly implemented. I don't get it. Couldn't you just...
Hey, it's Blizzard we're talking about here, okay?
have this for every question? Maybe it's that people's expectations are so low that when it comes to
They
Blizzard, they have to clarify, like, okay, yeah, you can do this, but just to be clear.
Imagine having such low faith in Blizzard. You're like, oh, please, yes, make it, but please do it well. You have to specifically mention that, because Blizzard are a bunch of incompetent weirdos.
Make it so
My
it doesn't
God.
suck balls. I don't know. Player housing is a controversial one. Instance personalized housing for players and guilds. I couldn't find anything on the public survey for this one, so I guess I'll just use my opinion as filler. I do think that world presence is very important in vanilla.
Yes.
So I'm kind of wary of housing, but as long
Well, if you make it like a garrison, then yeah, it's a huge problem. But if you make it right, like in Retail WoW, I think in Retail WoW they've done a great job, or FF14 for that matter, that's great. I will always be pro housing, and this is something that Blizzard themselves has thought back in the day, because they wanted to add housing. You even have the portal in the Alliance side. They just never got to it because of time and money. They had to release the product. It was a very, very rushed product. Like, never forget that. Vanilla was always super, super rushed. So I think they should add housing 100%. Maybe it's just a me thing, but if you do it correctly, it's awesome. Just don't add that crappy Heartsteel monetization scheme to it.
as it doesn't remove, a bunch
Make
of
it all
reasons
in-game.
to be in the world, like how it was done in Draenor, where you can do everything in your garrison, right? I think that's an example of player
Man, he's
housing
saying
done
everything
poorly.
I'm saying.
It's possible that it could be done well in vanilla. It would have to be instant since the world isn't built for it. And some of you might know that they did plan it as far back as pre-release with that mysterious portal in Stormwind.
Oh my
That was
God,
supposed to be a housing
dude.
district, and there also existed...
I must be a mind reader or some shit. That's crazy. He's saying exactly what I'm saying. Like, that's insane. I haven't pre-watched this. On the life of me, I haven't.
GM commands.
It's just
for
so
placing
easy to
houses and
predict.
whatnot, so they definitely had it in mind, but it was cut for various reasons. This infamous screenshot being one of them, because people could block off important areas. But the fact that it was intended
What? It was an
pre-release
open
gives
world
it more
housing?
authority for some players. I guess for
The
me,
hell?
it's just heavily dependent on what the system actually looks like. Next, we have achievements, a system to track game milestones and accomplishments. Another controversial one here. Some people believe achievements were kind of the rise of the game being hyper objective oriented, and every action needing to have some sort of tangible reward to bombard dopamine receptors, while the other side just kind of likes it as another form of progression to work towards. The poll did have this question, and the community responded fairly split, but leaning in favor. Cross-realm play, the ability to group with friends from other realms for dungeons, battlegrounds, and other instanced activities. It
I
doesn't
think so.
explicitly state grading here. I feel like if that was the intention, it would list it. But regardless, it's another controversial
I'm
one,
inclined towards
and
yes.
It's something that eventually came to retail in a few different forms. First was the cross-realm.
I think the whole faction system was stupid, and by the way, Blizzard thought so as well. The only reason the faction system existed in vanilla World of Warcraft is because the co-creator, how do you say that, like the basically the CEO of Blizzard at the time, or one of the like co-partners, he really wanted world PvP inside of the game, and he looked for a reason to justify it. I remember Jeff Kaplan talking about it was a horrible decision. They should have never implemented it. The Horde and the Alliance constantly beefing with each other didn't really make any sense whatsoever. It definitely is doubly true nowadays. They should just abolish the faction system, in my opinion.
Zoning in Pandaria as the population started to thin out in order to keep the world alive. And then this sort of evolved further and further to linked realms. And I think today you can do like cross-realm raiding with other guilds. But don't quote me on that. I haven't played retail in a very long time. The argument for it is that it keeps options open, especially for servers that start to die or become imbalanced between factions. This was an issue that did happen with the 2019 run of Classic, so in that case, a system like this would be beneficial, at least for the players on the imbalanced faction. And the argument against it, as you would imagine, is that it dilutes the server's community, which is a fairly defining feature for vanilla. Many people agree. I couldn't find an equivalent question for this on the public poll, but if I had to guess, it would be another one that people would be pretty split on. Next, we have War Mode. As an alternative to PvP servers, this mode would allow you to opt into PvP in the open world via a toggle in main faction cities. So this was a BFA feature when they did away with the old PvP server system, where you would be able to toggle this mode in the city, and it would put you in a layer with other people who are in the same mode as you chose. You get bonus rewards, you got access to new talents and stuff. However, for this question, it seems like it would just be strictly for toggling PvP on and off. This is a majority no from the public poll. Personally, I do think it is kind of an anti-vanilla feature. PvP servers are kind of core to the game, like them or hate them, but it is closer.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not a huge PvP Andy, so my opinion is kind of invalid here, but if that's what people like, sure. If they like that separation, awesome. I'm going to remain on a PvE server, but if people want to sweat it out on a PvP one, sure. Like, that's great.
A second glance, because the yes option is kind of split between yes with XP bonuses and yes but with no bonus, so it is another fairly close answer here. Next, we have 3 questions, one for 10-player raids, another for 20, and another for 40. And the closest public poll is this. People are asked to rank them 1 through 7,
20 is
with
fine.
20 winning by a pretty large margin. 10 is third, right behind the standard since Burning Crusade 25. And 40 is all the way down at 6 with 5.1. This one surprised me. I guess I'm in the minority here, but I do think that 40-player raids are a pretty big part of the identity of vanilla.
No. It's really bad. Is it part of the identity? Sure, because you're nostalgic and you got used to it. It's trash. You should never do 40-man raids. It's one of the reasons WildStar died. It is so abhorrent. It's almost impossible, especially nowadays, to gather a bunch of 40 hoodlums together to form a raid. Also, it's way more difficult to make mechanics that suit 40 people. You want to have a controlled raid group, and as less people as you have, the more control people have over the party. Now, you shouldn't make like 5 people raids. That's obviously just Mythic Plus, but you should make it 20. 20 is the golden number. It's not too many people that it's, very possible to form a group with. It's very easy. And it's also not too little of a group, so mechanics are invalid. You can really do them extremely easily. No, you still have to need to train like 20 people, and that's good. That's how it should operate. I think 20 is really the golden number here. Even 25 is a little bit too much in my opinion.
Considering that, it was Burning Crusade is where they scaled them down, and they did that for a reason, but I don't know, there's just something about gathering 40 different players that's very memorable of vanilla World of Warcraft to me.
Memorable? It's the complete opposite from memorable. The individual do not have a chance to shine in a 40-man group. The individual has way more responsibilities when he's in a much lesser group of people. And lesser in number, not lesser in skill, I hope. So I don't agree with this whatsoever. I completely understand why most people want 20. I want 20. I think this is like the golden number.
They're annoying and they're harder to set up and coordinate, especially for raid leaders. It's a nightmare. But for me, I don't know. It kind of falls in line with the slippery slope mentality. If you remove the most annoying thing in the game, there's always a new most annoying thing to be pruned until You know, eventually you're not even playing vanilla World of Warcraft anymore.
It's true in some
people
parts,
say
but
slippery slope
not for
fallacy,
everything.
To which I respond, told you so, by the way. I don't know.
Nah, that's kind of stretching it. I mean, according to this logic, you shouldn't really change anything because there's always something to change. Which, I guess in some regard it is true, but you gotta start somewhere and you gotta stop somewhere. So it's just a matter of finding these two focal points.
I guess I am in the minority, but I say that 40-player raids is a primary, with 20-player raids as kind of like a support, just like how they did the ZG AQ20 dynamic that vanilla had. Next, we have various graphic improvements, similar to the character model question from earlier, just higher resolution
graphical
textures,
improvements,
more
of course.
realistic lights, shadows, and so on. Unfortunately, there's no matching poll for this, but the closest I could find is Unreal Engine-esque graphics on a 1 to 10 scale, with the majority heavily against it, slightly less kind of indifferent, and 14% for it.
Basically, I think what most people want, and I might be wrong about this may be a personal bias as someone who really love retro vibe and really love classic for the old distinct look it had. I think World of Warcraft should have a major graphical overhaul, but you should keep the spirit of classic in it. I think you should have a certain distinct look instead of the retail Disneyfication we have nowadays, where all the characters look so smooth and you can't even tell the difference between a night elf and a human. So I think WoW should have sharp, distinct features, but it should have a graphical update. It's a very difficult task to do. You really need to know what you're doing in terms of design, but again, Blizzard is a multi-billion-dollar company, so I am going to hold them up to that standard. I don't care if they suck balls nowadays or not. Like, they should be able to do that. They should be able to pull this off.
New trade skills, another pretty common request. Usually you'll see this in the form of the long-lost survival skill, where you'd make campfires and torches to light up dark areas of the game. This one was actually implemented by the Turtle WoW private server. You know, the one that Blizzard shut down because it was too good. The response for this one is an overwhelming yes at 60%. 27% say no, just stick with the originals, while the remainder are indifferent. New battlegrounds, again.
You can add an interesting profession, I think.
As you'd expect, people are generally in favor, as vanilla World of Warcraft only has the 3 original battlegrounds, the Warsong Gulch, Arathi Basin, and Altric Valley. As for new race and class combinations, there's another one that's fairly split down the middle within the community, I'd say. Keep in mind, this isn't new races or classes, just combinations. Like, remember in Cataclysm, we got gnome priests.
Holy cow.
Night elf mages, for instance. This was a resounding yes, but only if the lore makes sense. So
yeah,
you wouldn't have anything crazy like shamans
100%.
or something. Next is new class, but specifically one that's unique to Classic Plus. So no Death Knights or monks or anything. And this one surprised me with 42% saying no. And behind.
Whoa, okay, that's surprising. I expected a resounding yes. I think some new classes should be added into Classic, but to be fair, it's really close. It's really close, but that's interesting. Most people said no about this. Do you think Classic Plus should have new classes or not? Like, what do you guys think about it? Like, write in the chat right now, because that is actually very interesting. I think it should have new classes. Like, why not? I mean, you can integrate certain classes that people wanted into major overhaul of old classes, in my opinion. Like, you can put Chronomancer as a mage healer. It shouldn't be a distinct class, in my opinion. But you should have, like, Death Knights. You should have Demon Hunters. Like, why not? You should have monks. You should definitely have monks. At the very least, in my opinion. I'm so undecided for this. Okay, interesting. No, then it isn't Classic. It shouldn't be Classic. It's Classic Plus. That's the entire idea. Just WoW 3, exactly. It shouldn't be Classic. Classic Plus. The plus stands for something. Leaning no? Damn. Okay. Interesting. So, I guess our opinions are varied about this. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, you guys are wrong and I'm right, but I'll respect your opinion.
And is yes, but only completely new classes. Followed lastly by the ones that we've seen from.
For the love of God, no monks and stupid pandas. Listen, you can make monks without pandas, okay? The monks aren't inherently tied to being a panda. You can be another monk, it's fine. You can bring them back without being a panda. Oh, God.
Other expansions. This one,
I don't even play WoW and I'm right.
I would have thought that it would have been a resounding yes, since people get so excited for new classes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying I disagree with it, but if you're on the no side, I would like to hear your reasoning why. My guess is that it would just be too far of a leap, and it wouldn't
No,
feel like
I think
vanilla, as the original collection of classes are so iconic to it, which I
not really. I think that this, and I said it whenever I filled this entire survey, I think this survey answers are skewed because most of the people who answer this are classic purists. And I know because I'm one of them. But I'm not one of the delusional people who are not willing to change anything in an inch. Like, I'm one of the people who are open for a change that I'm unfamiliar with. I'm willing to explore uncharted territories, and I think a lot of the people who answer the survey, generally speaking, are just real classic purists.
agree with, but at the same time, you have
And
other
that's why you
options
should,
here.
by the way, that's why you should never take any of these type of surveys into like 100%. Okay, that's what everyone wants. You should look at this as an indicator, but you should never take it as a gospel. You should never take it as like the word of God, because most players don't even really know how to balance a game and how to make a proper game. You should listen to your community, but never ask for solutions. Always like ask for direction, see where the winds is blowing, and base your opinion on that. You should formulate an opinion based on what people are saying, but you should never do a solution that based on what people are saying.
That I feel the same way about.
You should
and
form
they
an
go
opinion,
the
sorry.
opposite direction, like no 40-man raids or aligned shamans and horde paladins. So, yeah, this one surprised me. And lastly, we have transmogrification, which is another huge controversial
I'm
one.
still
The
split
ability
on that.
to change the appearance of your equipped items. It'll only be available in rested areas, dungeons, or raids, so everything but PvP, including the open world, I suppose. This one I'm kind of against. I think that it's a pretty critical part of Vanilla's identity to show what people are actually wearing. Clown suits are like hand in hand with Vanilla World of Warcraft, in my opinion. I mean, my entire channel avatar is the warrior clown suit for the Blackwing Lair tier,
Yeah,
so...
but again, you're viewing that from the lens of a classic purist. You're not viewing it from the lens of someone who really likes transmogs. And don't get me wrong, I'm with Mad Season Show about this. I'm an anti-transmog Andy. I used to be like split kind of... I'm still kind of slightly split on that, because I do really believe that people should have the ability to transmog, but at the same time, I don't really want it inside of the game. But it does lead to homogenization of appearance, right? Because everyone looks the same. At the end game, everyone is wearing the same items because it has the best stats, and everyone looks the same. And people really love fashion wars. They really do love it. They love fashion wars. They love transmog competition. I love transmog competition. Like, it's great. I'm going to do a transmog competition on my very channel in Guild Wars 2 someday, and World of Warcraft, hopefully, when it comes out. But it's very, in my opinion, it's very important to let people decide how they want to look. So, even though I'm kind of against it, I understand that a lot of people do really like transmogs. So maybe give people the option to disable it only for themselves. I think that would be the best outcome of both worlds, because people who like transmog can keep it on, and people who don't like it can just turn it off. That being said, it does lead to a game perspective that I really don't like to look at, which is, okay, now we're both living in different worlds. You see A, I see B, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So again, that's why transmog is such a contentious point, and I really don't know what to say about it. I can only speak for, like, myself. Yeah, I can... Wait, I think people transmog should just be visible to them. But then again, what's the point of a transmog? You do really want to show it off. I say no to transmog. Player can change their gear in cities when they want to show off. Maybe that's a good idea. Transmog is fine, just take away the unimmersive transmog like beat suits and stuff, but people like that. Like, listen, I'm assuming you haven't played FF14, right? There are whole communities built on transmog, and I think that's great. Whenever you have a community inside of a community, that's always a great thing, because you have people with diverse opinions, and I always love to see it inside of an MMORPG. That's the reason of why I play them, is because I get to meet other people that normally I wouldn't. So, I'm not really sure about that. Remember when I showed you my Guardian, you said not use Gemstore skin, guess what? Yeah, but at some point I realized Guild Wars 2 is all about pay to win. There is 0 point to transmog if people can turn it off. The point is to look better than you. I know, exactly, that's why I'm trying to make up solution, but in reality there is no solution. It's a very, very contentious point. Some people say they want it, they need it. and some people say they really don't want it. It's on the individual, and honestly, I don't think there's a single solution Blizzard can pull off that would satisfy both sides.
I'm definitely biased here, but here's what the community thinks, with the majority
Of course,
saying no.
they're all classic purists.
Yes.
Do this same question in retail World of Warcraft, you're gonna get a resounding 90% yes. And that's like the difference between the communities who fill this form. It all depends on where you show it. Really just depends.
With the rest just being no opinion, which is oddly split.
That's
into
why I'm
two
trying to be fair
categories.
here.
So, yeah, very controversial. I personally say no. People want it, obviously, so you can look cooler and better express yourself, as they say. And this is just my opinion, but I feel like in many ways the lack of a transmog is actually more expressive, because what you're wearing kind of tells a story about your character. It tells other people what you've done, what you haven't done, what kind of a player you are, your rating progression, if you're a leveler,
Okay, that part is
what
true.
zones you leveled in. You can see a guy running around.
That part is true, and that's why I lean toward having no transmogs, but that's a personal opinion, because many people would say that they feel like they can express themselves using transmogs. So what can you say to them? Like, no, you're wrong? That's an opinion. They can be wrong. That's what they think. So there is no point in even discussing it, to be honest. This guy's an idiot? Bro, never say that about mid-season show. He just, listen, he's literally one of the best classic, the best World of Warcraft content creators out there. Never speak to him in that manner. But he really loves classic, and he wanted the old way, and I understand it and I respect it, because on 90% of the stuff, I agree with him.
Be like, oh, looks like he did the Dead Mines, or, oh, looks like that guild's still progressing through Molten Core. They're probably a new guild. Or that guy looks like he's a pretty new player. Or maybe this person is obviously a high-ranking player in this guild because Nexramus just came out and he has so much of the gear already. Or maybe he egregiously swipes his credit card in GDKP runs. But the point I'm trying to make is that what your character wears tells such a story in vanilla, and usually what happens with Transmog is that people just kind of mog into the boring tier sets because they look the most cohesive, especially in vanilla, since there's so much fewer armor sets compared to retail WoW, which, you know, has over 100 now, probably, right? I think because of
So just add cooler items. The problemo solved.
that, you would really kind of run into the problem of everybody being clones of one another and just doing the same boring things, and I don't know. I feel like
he's
they
wrong
just
about this
massively
part.
take away from the old
That's
school
not true.
aesthetic of the game. I think it's more important than things like a new class. How your character looks is one of the most valued forms of character progression in an MMO. I mean, why else do people pay like thousands of fucking dollars on cash shops to buy cool looking mounts or pets or whatever? And it's not even just the MMO.
$30.
So many games out there.
My
have these
God.
cosmetic cash shops, and it's for a reason. People pay out the ass for them. And why do they pay out the ass for them?
Damn.
Because they value them.
Cheapest Counter-Strike gloves, by the way.
And because they are valued, they are important. Even if it's not some form of functional character progression, like how much damage you deal, how much you heal, how much damage you mitigate, is evidence with how much money people spend on them. They're valued super high within gaming at large, MMOs especially, since it's a multiplayer game, and you know, you have this added element of you're not the only one looking at your armor set, right? A lot of the times you want to show off cool armor sets or other cosmetics to other people. So yeah, anything aesthetic wise or looks, I think you have to be very careful, especially if you're doing a Classic Plus and you kind of want to maintain the original feel of the game. I think it's something that can get out of control really quickly. I could probably make a whole video about this, as you can tell, but I'm kind of getting off topic here. But that was most of the survey and the closest matching public surveys from the Classic Plus project. There are many more questions on the site that I'll leave you to check out and answer for yourselves if you want. But
Yeah, we already
I
did
just
it.
wanted to stick with ones
It
that
was good.
Blizzard
It was
asked,
fun.
because I feel like those are the most important, and they kind of give a more accurate idea of what the game will look like on the, again, not guaranteed, but 99% chance, in my opinion, that it gets announced at BlizzCon.
It will be.
But
It's
that's about
100
it.
chance.
Out of all
Don't
of the
worry.
information that's publicly available, between the features of Season of Discovery, which was a testing ground, and the official survey, this is the closest idea of what this theoretical Classic Plus could be. I do have some more videos planned in the future. These days I'm doing a lot of OSRs as well, but I do like to check in from time to time into World of Warcraft, and I'll try to be relatively active with things related to Classic Plus specifically, if and when new information drops. But other than that, thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked it, because I will see you in the next one. Peace.
Wow, great video by Matt Season Show. Again, I'm going to leave you guys a link so you can like and sub to him. Dude, I love this guy so much. His videos are truly sublime. But yeah, it was very interesting, especially the points on Transmog during the end. I kind of said everything that I wanted to. It's going to be very interesting to see in which direction Blizzard is going to take Classic Plus. In all honesty, I just hope it would be as Turtle WoW or higher. I really hope that the bare minimum they'll pull off would be Turtle WoW level. Even if they just re-release Turtle WoW as an official server, I'm going to be down for that. Because Turtle WoW was so good. We truly did not see any better Classic Plus experience than that.